Okay, so we've got the final for the Challenge International des Hauts-de-Seine 2025. And again, just like with the women, you can see it's extremely um, international. We've got Hungarians, French, of course, Japanese, Italians, Great Britain, all in the top 16. Okay, so it's just super international. And you can kind of see how the last few bouts went. DNS did not show. Maybe he was injured. Strange how that's both Hungarians here. Um, but maybe he got injured in the last bout. Wow, 15-14 for Dosa here. 15-14 for Shikine here against Nista. Great to see Nista fencing. I haven't seen him playing competition in a long time. That might just be my, me not paying attention. But it's great to see him doing well. It's awesome. And here 15-11, 15-12. Okay, so now it's gonna be Dosa and Bibard. Seems like a really good result for Bibard. I mean, I'm not following French fencing like all that much, so I don't really know. But in Paris, he um, didn't make it into the 64. It's actually a bout I want to commentate is Bibard's bout with Marcel Nagimov in the next few days. But he looks like he's doing really well. Here really shows you the up and down nature of fencing. It should be a great bout. Dosa is definitely the most decorated Hungarian foil fencer at the moment. And what a great showing from Bibard. So let's see what happens. Dosa on the left, Bibard on the right. You see Bibard is almost a head taller than Dosa. On the screen it says Bibard is going to be on the left, but let's see what happens. They're both left-handed. It's kind of interesting. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Just want to point out once again, it's really cool how the French do their competitions. They really make a show out of it, and that's what fencing deserves. So it looks like they just came on the strip in sort of the wrong order, so which is not a problem. Doja is going to be on the right, Bibard on the left.
Allez, c'est le dernier match aujourd'hui à
I'm going to
Bourg-la-Reine.
turn down the desktop volume a little bit. Unfortunately, we won't be able to hear the fencing as well, but it should be easier to hear my voice over. Oops, sorry, that was me messing around. Over the voice of the French commentator.
Au parcours de Tivan, il tirait hier Tivan, hein. Il était dans le pré-tournoi.
Dosa is pretty strong off the line, and Bibard gets the counterattack and with a bit of a stop hit, an arrêt. Dosa was doing several beats going forward, and that kind of opens the door for Bibard's counterattack, but this time Dosa sort of set up the exact same thing, but he went way more conservatively forward and set up a counter time, which is kind of related, but the difference is that you sort of stop with the blade take, and that's what he did. Now, much more of a simple attack. So Dosa's really mixing it up. Right out of the gate, he did compound action with a lot of beats. Bibard got the counterattack. Then he did a counter time, and where he got the touch, and then he did a simple attack, and now Bibard went off the line and caught Dosa basically as Dosa was trying to get a parry repost off the line. Here he is mixing it up again, being a little more conservative moving forward now. Is he going to compounder? And he went quite simple. That's good. And he's searching for the blade. So yes, he's right at the moment. He's going with a more simple attack approach where he's really finishing with the lunge. He's going to different targets. I find Dosa is very good at finishing to different targets. He'll flick on the back. He'll flick to the flank. He'll go to the chest and the stomach. This was a bit more of a counter time. So pushing and sort of opening the door for Bibard's counterattack. And when Bibard does counterattack, Dosa took a strong parry and finished with a lunge. Yeah, Bibard is really trying to keep Dosa far away. So Bibard is trying to take advantage of his height,
Plus d'activation de jambes et
which
ensuite,
is wise and is basically working. I mean, they're 3-3, and Dosha's trying to work his way in. This time, Dosha catches Bibard on the preparation in the middle. So neither one of them is really seeming to be winning the middle, although Dosha is able to get the attack off the line more often. So he's not winning the middle more often, but he's so far have been able to be the one in the attack. This time Bibard got the middle, so I think Bibard just pulled ahead with the touches in the middle. I think Bibard's gotten 2 touches in the middle, and Dosha's only gotten 1. Let's see if Bibard can manage to... Exactly. So he takes the attack first. And Dosha managed this time to get the stop hit. Or arrêt. It's where you hit and then run away. So it's kind of a reverse. Bibard has already done that twice to Dosha, I think, and now Dosha did it to Bibard. Now, Dosha tried to get the parry repost in the middle, but it looks like Bibard got the counter parry repost. But to me, it didn't seem that way. To me, it seemed actually that Dosha missed his first repost, and then Bibard got the remise, but the referee signaled that as a parry repost and not as first repost. No. So maybe I just missed that. In any case, he gave it to Bibard, and that's how I saw it as well. That in any case, Dosha's first repost was not successful, either because Bibard parried or because Dosha missed. It ends up having the same effect. Very strong infighting. I had to say, I'd say Dosha had the advantage of the infighting in the end. He basically scored, but after the halt. And Bibard is trying to keep the distance here. The fact that Dosha has the advantage in the infighting is not a surprise. He's the smaller fencer, and that's not always the case that they have the advantage in the infighting. But since the taller... Okay, there's a good attack from Dosha, but since the taller fencer often tries to keep the shorter fencer far away, they're not maybe as prepared for when it does get close. But the taller fencer does have certain advantages in the infighting. The fact that they can get a stronger angle because of their longer arm. Yeah, the referee's saying attack in preparation by Bibard. I understand why he's making this decision, but it wasn't very immediate, the attack from Bibard, and so I can also understand why Dosha is asking for the replay. Dosha basically is saying Bibard first went back, and I never stopped my attack. I had the attack from the beginning, and I just kept going, and then I just finished. And so Bibard's attack in preparation, it's not attack in preparation, it's a counterattack because of that. The attack in preparation basically almost only happens when both fencers come to a standstill, and then both start moving forward at the same time. And so because of that, the most consistent place for that to happen is right after the alley, right? Because they're stood still, then there's an alley, and then they both start moving towards each other. Of course, it can happen at any time in the bout, as long as basically both fencers stop, and then they start moving forward together. That's almost the only time that the referees call attack in preparation these days. If one fencer is already in the forward movement, it's not going to be called attack in preparation. So it looks like the referee changed his mind and is not giving the touch to Bibard, because apparently Dosha was right and he had started the attack first. At least that's how I interpreted that whole interaction. This is an early start, but Dosha's okay with it. It seems like Dosha maybe also made a little faux pas right before that. Or maybe the referee's saying Dosha was off the side of the strip. That's why they went back. That makes more sense. Actually, right now, like the whole time, his foot is basically off the side of the strip. It's kind of strange because why should Bibard be punished for Dosha going off the side of the strip? Wow. So Dosha's very good at working his way into that closer distance. So you see, as he's attacking forward, he's whacking Bibard's blade aside a lot. And that's because Bibard is trying to just reach out and just touch him before Dosha can get close enough. And Dosha has really managed to whack that blade aside and get close and then hit, which he did with basically a simple action to I think it was a flick to the back. I don't know why there's been a sudden stop, but there seems to have been some kind of a distraction. they're looking up, and I think they're probably explaining it right now, but I've turned the volume so low. I just heard him saying encourage the fencers. So I don't really know. And attack in preparation by Dosa.
J'espère que ça va.
And they kind of doinked into each other. And Bibard. Wow, that's a fast response by the doctor. I guess for the final bout, it makes sense. That's good. Stretching it out a bit. I think they might be even again with the middle.
Ouais.
So it's really hard to say who is going to get the attack off the line. But Dosa has been getting the attack off the line more often. But this time Bibard managed to parry it, and now he's in the attack. Now Dosa's going to be in the attack. Bibard's really trying to keep him at bay and just touch him and get out. But it's not really working. Dosa is managing to get in close.
Allez, fais l'effort. Voilà, ça va venir, ça va venir. Il va craquer.
Okay, this is just a very, very nice attack from Bibard. So he basically was just pushing, and Dosa thought that if he just went in there really fast with the lunge and opposed, that he could get the counter attack and make it one light. But he actually didn't manage to do that, and Bibard got the light. So he stopped up short and managed to just stick his arm out and hit. So basically it's a slow compound attack. This is a very nice parry post by Dosa. That kind of an attack where you're baiting the counter attack and then you sort of like stop up short and just finish. I often class it as a kind of counter time. The counter time without the parry, because it's the same effect where you're baiting the counter attack and then defeating that counter attack. But all of these things have blurry borders. This was a very clear attack in preparation by Bibard. Dosa even acknowledged, and you see it's attack in preparation because they both start at the same time, but Dosa has his arm back and Bibard is extending. This was very nice, just a compound action. So he pushed with his blade back, and then he disengaged, and Dosa was searching for the blade with parries, and he was not able to find it, and Bibard just managed to hit. Bibard tried a closing in counterattack this time, which is definitely a change from what he was doing before. Before he was always going back, so doing a stop hit, an arrêt, and this time he tried to do a counterattack opposition in 8, which it almost worked, and it's definitely a good idea to switch up your counterattacks like that. Very nice attack from Dosa. Dosa's simple attack in this way, it's just really good, and he should definitely be trying to find the ways to set that up and make that happen. And he did right there, but Bibard managed to step in and avoid getting hit, and then he hit. Yeah, and Dosa's asking for replay now because the way that Bibard avoided getting hit was with a movement which very much looks like a counterattack. And so Dosa's saying it should be my attack, no, Bibard's counterattack, no, and then my remise. And then so it's my turn. But what the referee is basically saying, he could say a few things. He can say Bibard didn't counterattack. He was just basically parrying or just avoiding being hit. And then so when he hit you, it was his first attempt to hit you. Or he can say Bibard's counterattack happened before you finished, or basically, yeah, I think it has to be before. It only logically makes sense to say before, because at the same time doesn't really make any sense. So before you finished your attack, and therefore it doesn't really count as anything. It's like nothing happened. And then you finished your attack, and then it was his turn. So those are the only two options that the referee has to explain it. Yeah. And the referee says attack no from the left, attack no from the right, attack yes from the left. Which is not choosing one of those explanations. Both of those explanations would be those hand signals. But it's important to understand that, because Dosa does have a point. When you guys are fencing, if you guys notice that the counterattacker attempted to score, then Dosa is right. as long as the attempt to score was basically at the same time as the attack and not before. This was another nice stop hit from Bibard. I think they just upped the score twice. I think it should be 10-9. Wait, limit. Okay, I rarely do this, but I need to. We're going to go back. Oh no, my mistake. I'm sorry. He upped the score correctly. 10-9, and then it's 10-10. Sorry about that. I make mistakes too. Pushing attack from the left. Basically a remise, it looked like to me. Bibard attacked, Dosa managed to get the parry, and then Bibard managed to get the remise and blocking out. Nice touch. And he's pulled ahead. Oof. Yeah, everybody understood the commentators. That one, oh no, they said. That was my feeling as well. I felt Bibard was stronger on the blade, but you know, it could also be that they both went to the blade. The referee's going to have a closer look at the replay. In any case, it's a very close action. I am ever more of the opinion that it's very important to avoid very close actions as much as possible. It's not always possible, not at all, and sometimes you do just need to take risks, and so, a lot of times it depends on your opponent. But we really shouldn't rely on those actions very much. So if we feel doubt in our action, we should try to make it clearer. Because they did have the opportunity. They both went for the blade. At that moment, it was clear. It was clear that it was unclear when they both went for the blade. Then they both went out, and then they both decided, let's try it. And they probably should not have decided that. One of them at least should have said, you know what, I'm not sure enough. And I'm going to actually defend and not just basically put it in the hands of the referee. His mask cord came off. Wow, attack off the line by Bibard. When Bibard is coming in, is getting the attack, he's being really successful. So Bibard is really making it happen right now. His stop hits have worked throughout the whole bout when Dosa compounds his attack too much. But they're not working perfectly. He's also getting hit a lot of the time, but they're working. They're still working. They're viable. They're definitely viable. And when Bibard manages to get in the attack, he's really been scoring now. He's scored a remise, but off of a compound attack, and he's also scored several compound attacks when he can manage to get Dosa to counterattack. And now he's scored in the middle with a flesh, and he has scored in the middle before. And when Dosa is attacking, he needs to do simple actions or counter time. That's what's working for him. Simple actions or counter time. And when he's in defense, I think his best chance is in the parry post, because his counterattacks have not been working basically at all. Like that's been working for him. And he almost got it again, but it was way low on the arm. You saw where Bibard was pointing, right above the elbow. Yeah, but that's why Bibard is so insistent on the attack, because he knows he's in a really dangerous position right now, where he can't go back very far, and where Dosa's simple attacks are really making it happen. Simple attacks are very effective at the end of the strip because your opponent cannot run away very far. When your opponent has space behind them. And again, he got that remise. Bibard is making his touches work very nicely. So Bibard had a brief moment where he was in the attack. He rushed forward with his blade kind of back, forcing Dosa to make a big parry. And then Bibard got the remise. It looks like even with a disengage. And a simple action from Dosa, kind of counter time type thing. Very nice. So they're getting the touches that they've been getting before. This is all about making what is already working work again.
Oh, dommage.
Very nice. They both.
Ouais, il a pas cru, il a juste
Okay, so it looks like Bibard thought he hit, but the thing is they both started compound, so they both took this big risk. They both started compound, and then Dosa managed to get his tip in faster though, and it ended up being one light. A bit lucky, I have to say.
Là maintenant il l'attend. Ah ouais.
Very nice, very nice. It's again, it's not exactly the same situation, but it's very similar. So Dosa's pushing, attacking very strong forward. Bibard tried to do a counterattack where he stepped in, so he switched it up, which was smart. Dosa got the parry from the attack, so basically a counter time. Bibard ran out, and then Dosa got the simple attack. So again, basically the final action again was simple attack by Dosa, where Bibard is trying to get out. So when Dosa can get Bibard in that situation, he has a very high score rate. Touch rate, whatever. Touch percentage. Bibard was very insistent in the middle. That was basically totally Dosa's moment. He attacked absolutely straight while Bibard had his arm all the way back, and his light either just didn't go off, or he somehow missed completely, or the blade bent in a funny way, but Dosa's really feeling that the light just didn't go off. That's rough. That's really rough because that was his moment. He made absolutely the right decision. It looked like he hit. Dosa's feeling like he should have just won that bout, and he made a great compound attack, finished with flick. He has gotten that same touch several times in that bout, but the difference on this last touch was that Bibard counterattacked, collapsing the distance, which, as I said, he was trying to get to make work. It didn't work even one single time, but he mostly wasn't getting hit when he was trying it, and he was causing doubt for Dosa. And this time, he did it. Dosa went to the exact same target that he has been going when Bibard was going out, but he made it work even though the distance was a completely different distance. So it's very, very skilled to do that. He got a flick to the back even when Bibard was collapsing the distance. And he was probably ready to do that flick with a big lunge because that's how he's been getting it in the past. But he managed to shorten himself up and get the touch right there. It's very nice. So as I said a few times, I'm just going to break it down one more time. Dosa was getting simple attacks. Dosa and Bibard were about 50-50 in the middle. Dosa was getting counter time. And that's the main. Maybe Dosa was a bit higher percentage in the middle, and those were the main things that he got were simple attacks and counter time. And in defense, he didn't manage really to get any counter attacks. And maybe he got a parry repost or two, but I actually can't think of any at the moment. And Bibard, he also got good touches in the middle. He got some really nice stop hits when Dosa did compound attacks. And he got some compound attacks of his own when Dosa would try to counterattack. And touches in the middle, stop hits, compound attacks, and maybe he got a couple simple attacks as well. So for both, so it was and you see it's a very close bout, very varied touches. Oh, and Bibard also got some very, very good remises on his attacks. So when he got the attack, he did a compound attack. It forced Dosa to make a big parry, and then that enabled Bibard to probably disengage around the parry after he got parried. So he got parried, and then he disengaged to get the remise. That's what it looked like to me, and it looked like he did that twice. But those were very effective touches. So it was a very, very great bout by both of them, and congratulations to Dosa and to Bibard for a great result.